Hello everybody, and welcome to today's episode of Banter Blitz. My name is Jan Gustafsson. I'm going to crush all of you. That at least is the plan. I just connected a new mouse and it feels weird. It like reacts slowly and I have a feeling my flagging skills might be a little affected by it. So yeah, I'm worried about that. I'm also worried about the usual stuff. Sound, looks, crushing. That's about it. Let's get right into it and find our first opponent. And you know what? I'll start at the bottom, Drake style, and challenge Slanker, because I see he was the first challenger, so he's been waiting for not that long. We published this last minute, as we tend to. And I can see this is not quite the right screen. I hope this one's better. Here we go. Mr. Slanker, if you're still here, let's do this. Goes d4, and why wouldn't you? It's a tough choice already. But nah, knight f6 feels correct. It feels like you're keeping more options open than when you go d5. Well, you're developing a piece, controlling e4 and d5. How bad can be? My default move here is e6. Sometimes I mix in little g6. Why not go g6 if you can Kotto your bishop? And this is an opening called the Grunfeld, which I like. I never quite find the time to study this fiddler video series and all the good stuff to become really proficient at it, but I know bits and pieces, so I'm not that concerned. He plays one of the main lines with bishop c4 and knight e2. Looks like Slanker is well booked up for this. And there is a variety of systems that black can employ here. Starting in this position, I've played many different things. b6, knight a5, followed by b6, queen c7. So many options, so little time. I'll go for this move, which is the main line, and after f3, I'm gonna retreat my bishop. In the old days, they used to play the move knight to a5 instead of bishop d7, but that allows many dangerous lines. I don't quite dig them, so I like doing this bishop g4, bishop d7, provoking f3, which in some lines is advantageous for black. In some lines it's not, but sometimes it's useful that this bishop is no longer covered and all that stuff. Now the plan is to go queen c7, put a rook on d8, and then take it from there. At least that's my plan. I'm sure there's more sophisticated approaches to this position. I'm gonna just try to adjust my little windows here so I can read the chat and see what you guys are saying. But now this new mouse really doesn't like me. Very concerned about the new mouse. What's going on? Is Jan on? I can't see him. I am on, gutes Kind, so you should be able to see me. I haven't listened to Andy up today. I should listen to it more. I don't know. Maybe I've passed my MOP stage, but that's hard to believe. I'll listen to Andy up right after the show. I don't think I have rights, so I can't play it for you guys, even though it's beautiful music. Queen c2 has been played by Mr. Slanker. Queen feels a little awkward on this, what do we call those things? File. I could spring into action with CD and whatever, knight a5 or something. But I'll keep my cards, I'll play my cards close to the chest, if that's an expression. Normally I say close to the vest and then people complain. So I'll go with the chest this time. Go rook ac8. I'm probably threatening something like CD followed by knight a5 or whatnot. Let's see if Slanker can parry all these dangerous threats. For white, it's kind of typical to go knight f4, pretending to go knight d5 to provoke e6. He goes bishop b5, which means I might have to calculate tactics already. Can't do it. I'm thinking about CD, knight takes d4. Then knight takes d4, bishop takes. It looks good though, so let's go there. I have a feeling something's gonna give, but I haven't really thought it through just yet. Point is CD, knight d4, his queen is on prise, so knight takes d4 looks natural because of the queen c7. I have a little Zwischenschach, knight takes e2 check, so knight takes d4 and then bishop takes d4, and we see one of the advantages I was talking about earlier of having provoked f3 because his bishop on e3 would be under attack. So would his queen on c2. Not sure you guys are following, I'm not sure my train of thought will take you there. But CD was a good move, that's what I'm trying to say. He's smelling the danger and tries to play a little Zwischenzug himself, bishop c6, but if I'm not mistaken, I can take here. When it looks like the changes have benefited me greatly. Rook d1, I'll just go back, keep this protected, target this dude. Rook d3 is a good move. Going after Mr. e3. I like to keep Mr. e3. Not sure how this move feels a little wrong. Bishop was nice on g7, but I couldn't think of anything better. It's also a 3-minute game, and I've been talking so much that time is running out. Some pre-moves. As I said, I'm very worried about my flagging abilities today. This mouse, can I show the mouse? It feels weird. Just doesn't feel right. So, as usual, hope he makes a pre-move or a mouse slip and then take his queen with check. I'm sure Slanker was intending queen e2, but he went too far, literally. Therefore he has to resign. Sorry, Slanker. Good game. Who's next? Come on, mouse, do something. It's a terrible mouse. Let's find another opponent. But whom? That is the question. Wow. This guy's from China, it says. We have premium members in China? That'd be pretty cool. Let's play him. Dahu. I already apologize for all my mispronunciations. e4, e5, that's a good move. That's what I tend to do. You grab space in the center and you don't concede any. Here, everybody is very much into the Juco piano these days. I'm not sure why, but do you have to know why it's any good to jump on any trend? Nah, you just do it. So people like to play this d3 castles. Now they go c3. Black more often than not plays a6 at some point. And after d6, one big question is always, is this a good idea or is it a bad idea? The point is after d6, Black can no longer unpin himself with bishop e7. So in order to break this annoying pin, he quite often goes g5, chases the bishop away, which of course is not the end of the world, but it leads to a slightly more, how do we call this, complicated game than the usual slow Juco piano, which, as far as I know, means slow play in Italian. So yeah, after this g5, bishop g3, Black has weakened his king a little bit, but the bishop on g3 could potentially be out of play. So it is all a little double-edged. And knight h5 now, once again, my least favorite thing in the world is to think. Nah, let's not think. Let's just take on e5 and hope it works. This is a typical trick, because the knight on e5 is not defended, but you always got to make sure you're not losing material to some knight takes e5, followed by bishop to g4, and that this stuff works. I haven't thought all that hard about it, but if I counter correctly, I am pawn up now, which I greatly like. Great English, Jan. And he still has his weaknesses. Black has two bishops, but it shouldn't matter too much. I can always get rid of this, and I can play the move d3 to d4, restricting his other bishop. So I should be doing pretty well here. And I'll just keep making moves, hoping to grab some material, followed by a5 now. And if Black goes a5, if he later goes c5, I'm gonna argue that I've achieved something. Whatever that may be. Well, if he doesn't go c5, it won't be so easy to get this bishop going. Queen e2 might have been not the best square, as we call it in the business, but still like my chances. Even though I've messed around just a little bit, I'm still in excellent shape here. Black should still play c5, try to free that bishop. Now after d94, looks like my pieces are making sense. And I will try to use that to checkmate him somehow. Not sure how yet. Maybe I should think. Let's go here first, target this guy, and then do bad things to dahu. Long term, maybe short term, I want to go something like g4, maybe knight g3, knight f5, maybe rook e3, rook h3. looks pretty good. Or is there any problems? Can't see them. It's like a thunderstorm outside, it sounds like. You never know in Hamburg. Could be sunshine, 25 degrees, and then 5 minutes later it's raining. And sounds like the sky is falling. F5, I'm sure there's many ways to roam, but I'll stick to my plan. Go knight g3. He can't really take, or so I would hope, because of queen g6 check. And if he can't take, there should be problems. I'll take here, mainly to show off. No need for it. I could just take on f7. But this move looked pretty good. You can't go queen h5 because of knight h5 check. Rook e6, you can go. And I'm not quite sure if I've really achieved that much. But worst case scenario, so I could take, and if the king goes to, let's say, f8, I can take on f7 and go bishop c4, win back the exchange and be 2 pawns up, which is a lot of pawns. SneaM is back. He's back to premium, which is good to hear. I'm sure he wants to talk basketball. I don't know, I'm anxiously awaiting the Draymond Green decision. Really be a pity if he missed the next game. I'm rooting against Oklahoma. Don't like Oklahoma. I'm sure it's a lovely city, but I don't like the way Durant and Westbrook conduct themselves. Not that they do anything wrong, but somehow, yeah, I want Golden State to win mainly because I'm rooting against Cleveland. And I have a better feeling about Golden State beating Cleveland in the finals than Oklahoma. Normally Durant screws up when he's facing Daddy LeBron, so I don't know. It's tough times for us NBA nerds. Enough basketball talk. For today, let's win this endgame. I'm like 3 pawns up, which should be enough. Gotta be a tad careful that his king does not eat all my pawns before I've done something. But I don't think that is going to happen. Nah, it's not going to happen. Now my king is in time to go to d3 or wherever it wants to go. He has his own head, this king. But the game is pretty much over. Go away. SneaM is not a Draymond fan. I don't know. I kind of enjoy the guy. I could have taken on a5, but no need to rush. Pre-move. Another highly entertaining game of me grabbing my opponent's pawns and then hopefully winning the endgame like 18 pawns up. Could trap this bishop. Actually, I'll do that if he doesn't resign, because the bishop doesn't have any squares. I can go b3, king d3, king c2, and eat it. But dahu resigns. Yeah, he was running short of pawns there. I haven't checked, obviously. I had the feeling knight h5 might be wrong here, because it looked like this knight takes e5 trick works. And of course, you don't want to allow that. Let's find somebody else. If this mouse allows me to click anywhere, which really big mystery with this mouse. Another new dude, Mr. Eber. Not connected to Uber, I would guess. He's just called Eber. Maybe because he's from the Iberic Peninsula. Is that even English or any language? I don't know, but he is from Spain, and I did play the Sicilian. I'll play a bit of Taimanov. An opening of my childhood, or not so much my childhood. I played a lot from like 15 till 17 maybe. Decent opening. I stopped playing it at some point for no particular reason. But can't hurt to revisit your childhood memories. Saves you a lot of money on therapy. Anyway, bishop e2, bishop e3, standard stuff. Long castles would be the main move here. When I was a kid, I normally played this. Most people nowadays, I believe, like to go bishop e7 followed by d6, transposed to what the Dutch call the Scheveningen. But bishop b4 always appealed to me. The most critical move is supposed to be knight a4, but knight takes c6, followed by either knight a4 or even by f4 is also interesting. Now I'm out of book, or not really, I could transpose to my book lines with something like bishop e7, but I'll try to use the fact that he's taken on c6 already and go rook b8 to cover that square. Not sure if that's the best idea I ever had, but it looks half sensible, which is all I need to make a move, really. Let's see what Eber comes up with. People are asking for Magnus Carlsen Banter Blitz sessions. Yeah, I like those too, but I don't think that's gonna happen. Sorry, boys and girls. But our boy Peter will certainly be back one day or another, probably soonish. And I have to try to find a move after queen d4. I'll be sneaky. Go here. Not sure if it's good, but there is some threats like rook to b4 and also bishop takes h2. So it did look appealing enough to bang it out and then think about it. This was the idea, so I'll follow through. Not clear if he goes c4, let's say. Rook takes a4, e5. It's very messy. Do a bit of thinking. c4, I could go e5. And doesn't win a piece, unfortunately, because pawn takes, bishop takes, queen back to d1, and a4 is covered. The position still looks good for me. Maybe that is a better choice than taking on a4. Because then after e5, I'm losing my piece back. I'd be a pawn up after bishop e7 or whatnot. But it looks a little strange. He goes queen d3. Same idea. Once again, facing a choice here. I have a feeling... not sure I have any feeling, really. Rook a4, e5. Could just go bishop e5 very greedily. But the position feels a bit dangerous if he takes and plays c4. My rook on a4 is a little far away from the action. So I'll do something else and grab this pawn. Leave the knight alone for now. He's gonna play b3. And I will scratch my head, think about what to do. Probably nothing special, just go back to f6. Not sure I've handled this expertly, but I did grab a pawn, which always fills my heart with great joy. Not great joy like SneaM Greyjoy, but great joy. Speaking of SneaM Greyjoy, I haven't watched the latest Game of Thrones episode yet, so got plenty to do today. And Eber is trying to outsmart me, but he might have missed this little Zwischenzug. Don't mess with the Zwischenzugs. He was trying to cut this rook off from the knight on e4. Knight c5, I believe, is painful because it clears the e4 square for the rook, and should he take, I can take with check. So now the fat lady starts singing. Another expression where I'm never sure if I made it up. I believe it refers to the opera where in the "it ain't over till a fat lady sings." Not sure. What I'm trying to say is Eber is in trouble. I haven't seen the new X-Men yet. Yeah, I read some reviews. It's not supposed to be good, but to retain my nerd street cred, I of course shall watch it. But I'm not expecting miracles. I talked about this the other day. I'm a little tired of superhero movies. Not tired enough to stop watching them, but a little tired. So what do I do here? I still have my rook in the middle of nowhere. I could just take on e3 whenever I feel like and have a winning position. Wondering if I can do better than that. I don't really see how. So I'll castle, and if he traps my rook with bishop f3, I'll either take on e3 or play f5. Probably I'll take on e3. I still got a be a bit careful, because my pieces are still a bit little all over the place. And yeah, I'm not planning to improve that situation. I'm planning to grab stuff instead. Knight b7, threatening this move. Trick Eber again, and bishop takes f4. So to avoid losing the queen, he has to go rook d4 when it'd be a whole piece. And to pawn down if I counter correctly, which is too much even against me. Therefore, Eber resigns. Let's play FIDE Master. SneaM. Where are you from, SneaM? From Ireland. 2193. No offense, SneaM. That's not such a high rating for a FIDE Master. He's either new or slow. Or both. New and slow. I'm old and slow. Or maybe he's not here. I get this little opponent disconnected message. But now it looks like SneaM has arrived. No, still not planning to make a move, but he might be around now. We'll find out. What else is going on? Someone's saying, I played someone in the last session with Roven. Maybe I can, all I can see, because I can't remember a thing, is this little statistic I get when I hover over the opponent's name, where it tells me if I played them or not. But it looks like I'm not going to get to play SneaM because he's not around, so I'm going to have to abort. Sorry, SneaM. Oh, just as I clicked abort, almost clicked the resign button, because in that very second he went e6. Literally the last minute. Oh, he's one of those guys. A Dutch player. Not a terrible opening. This position, he has many possible lines. Normally I don't play this knight c3 line, but I felt like doing something different. Knight f3, now the best move in my book is bishop b4. Because here if you go for the stone wall as he does, I'm not committed to g3, bishop g2 yet. Therefore these bishop f4 setups tend to gain in strength. Looks like he wants to mix c6 with bringing the bishop out, which is legal, but I'm not so sure if that's a great line. He's immediately trying to grab my pawn, when more attacking player would probably allow that and just keep developing. But I really like my pawns. That's why I put the queen on b3. If I went to c2, which looks more natural, he would have some queen takes a2 trickery. And I didn't want that to happen. Now, however, you could argue that the bishop on b4 and the queen on a5 don't fit in all that well with the grand scheme of black's play. Therefore, I should have won. I think I'm winning the opening battle here. Now my pieces are all very nice. CD, I'll follow up with c4, and SneaM is gonna have to be very sneaky to stay out of trouble. Of course, not the end of the world and all that stuff, but I do like my position. He has weakish pawn on d5. His king is a little weak long term, and it's not that easy to finish development because b7 is also on prise, so not an easy position to play. Am I going to watch the Champions League final this Saturday? I'm not a big football guy. It's kind of embarrassing how little I know about football. So maybe, but I haven't planned for it. I don't even know who's playing, to be perfectly frank with you. So maybe. How do I cash in here? This move looks natural enough. I haven't planned what to do after bishop f6, but the position looks nice. Rook c5 would be one way to cash in. Very much in line with my style because it's pawn grabbing. Not sure if that's best. But as they say, pawn is a pawn. Gotta be a little precise with the grabbing procedure here. I think I'll throw in this little move, just in case. I'm going to take with the rook. Normally I wouldn't mind going into the end game, but if I take with the queen, then he can go bishop e6 after the queen exchange. And I don't want him to develop so freely. Bishop d7, no tricks. Nah, looks like no tricks yet. So we're gonna have to grind it out. He's gonna play bishop c6. I'll put my rook somewhere. And I'll be better, but it's gonna be a long way to Rome. Ah, hang on, bishop c6, I can go rook takes f5. That's good news. Little trick. Sure, if he's thinking about fancy stuff like bishop a4, which I haven't thought about, but I can go queen c4, worst case scenario, so it does not frighten me unduly. What does he want? Does he want to go f4? I don't know. Maybe he's just preparing bishop c6. Let me think. Rook c7. He could play bishop a4, which is a little weird. Hard to believe there's anything really wrong with it. Of course, bishop c6 is legal, but then any endgame is good for me. Rook takes f5 probably still works. f4? Are you serious, sir? Because I like to take pieces. I take great pleasure in taking pieces. Yeah, gimme. It's probably hoping that after fe3, queen e6, ef2, king f1, rook e6, something good will happen to him, but I don't think it will. Rook e1 is a checkmate threat, but I've seen this coming. I'm gonna parry it by going rook f7 when if he gives a check, I got king f2. If he doesn't give a check, I also have king f2. And I have more pieces than SneaM. So I'm in pretty good shape, and therefore he resigns. Yeah, I believe the opening, well, as I mentioned, I find c6 a strange move. Against this move order, I think black should start with bishop b4. To combine it with c6, bishop b4, and then queen a5, d5 strikes me as risky positionally. Of course, f5 always strikes me as risky positionally, but even apart from that, let's accept somebody else. A lot of challengers, even though I announced the very last minute. A bunch of people showed up. Let's play against Mr. Jeroen 75. I'm guessing that's the year of birth, but it could of course be many, many things. Time for another e4. Champions League is Atletico against Real. Yeah, I don't have a horse in that race. I went to school next to Barcelona, so I'm rooting against all the Madrid teams. Of course, I'm rooting more strongly against Real, but I don't care that much. And Jeroen 75 plays the Alekhine, which I don't know much about, but since I always pre-move knight f6 and bullet, and everybody in the world always plays this system I'm playing, I'll go with it as well. Don't really know theory, but it looks a little better for white. Just get the pieces out and see what happens. There was some trick which I can't remember. Normally in my bullet games they play, what do? They play knight e2, not knight f3, which is probably smarter. I thought there was some trick here, but I honestly can't recall it. My point with h3 is if he takes, queen takes, knight takes d4, I have at the very least bishop h7 followed by queen d3 check, winning my pawn back. But yeah, I don't really have a clue about this position. Probably I haven't played it all that well. Bishop f6, under pressure already. That's how you should not play the Alekhine. It's a little embarrassing how I've been playing actually. But what to do? Gotta hang in there. Hope for the best. Jeroen seems to know what he's doing here. I have this little trick, but I'm not sure it really favors me. It's the same trick I was talking about earlier if he takes queen d3 and queen c4. But I don't have a feeling that position that arises there is particularly good for me. So I might have lost the opening debate here. And I've also been whining and talking and all that stuff. So I'm almost a minute down on the clock. A lot of bad news. Gonna have to focus. And again, how bad can be? It's equal pawns. His king is maybe a little weak. It's not really that weak, but there could be some hope. I was expecting black to play d5 one point or another, but I can mate it with... Is this crazy? Might be too soon. I want to grab a lot of space at some point with g5 and d5, but g5 is very committal positionally. So weakens the h3 pawn and all that stuff, so I'm not sure how great an idea it is. Knight d8, very deep. I'll go d5. Probably I should have played g5 earlier, but it was just too tempting to restrict that knight. Keep the b pawn just in case I need it. Wasn't too worried about it. On b4, it also restricts this knight should it ever intend to re-enter the game. Therefore, my position is nice now. But my clock situation is not, so I'm gonna have to speed it up. Goes all the way back. So I have to find a way to break through. But since my pieces are quite dominant, that way should somehow appear. Show me the way. Keep the pawn on b4, it's doing a good job. Restricting the knight. I'm expecting c5, so I'll shock him with my gifts of anticipation and pre-move d takes c6. But looks like I expected wrong. Really gotta speed up. But instead of speeding up, I will just think forever and then play knight h4. And take that. I'm on a slow mouse, so still worried this might go badly. Position is winning now, but I'm really low on time. However, checkmate ends the game, so I can stop worrying about that. Always put your knight on h8, that's a great attacking piece, well-known rule. Good game by Jeroen75, and yeah, bad opening by me, I would guess. So, who's next? Maybe Mr. CPI 38. Here we go. Suki Ray has a lot of wishes, Banter Dawn, Banter battles with a lot of strong players. We'll see what we get done. Problem with these Banter Tons is they're sort of exhausting to sit here, play Blitz for 36 hours. It's a lot of blitzing. So for now I'm going with small spurts, but we'll get some events done, I'm sure. For now I gotta crush CPI 38. Goes b6, bishop b7, e6. It's legal. One idea is to bring the bishop out to b4, so I'll stop that by going a3. In this position the main and probably best move is d5 to restrict his bishop. But being the contrarian I am, I'll go for something else. Knight h3 looks a little funny, but I like having my pawn on f3 to restrict those two pieces, the knight on f6 and the bishop on b7. And now I'll just develop my pieces. This knight, if in doubt, can go to f2, sometimes to f4. And I would guess white is a little better here. But of course, it's a reasonably playable position for black, and I'm not claiming this knight h3 stuff is really refuting it. c5 makes sense. I guess I should go d5 to stake a bit of a claim in the center. If he goes e5, I have a pretty good version of a King's Indian. Also d6 would be winning a piece, so he probably shouldn't do that. And if he takes, pawn takes, then yeah, the black structure is a little... Oh, I've talked about this a bit. I have a strong dislike for any setup that involves a pawn on f5, because long term your king will be weak. So hopefully I can prove it. Best move here, to my mind, is bishop to d6, because d6 leaves a bunch of very ugly holes. And yeah, you could go rook e8 or something, but you don't really want to. So bishop d6 looks sensible. d6, yeah, the problem as mentioned is it really weakens the e6 square, so my knight finds a new job on f4, and if you have to go bishop c8, it's normally a sign that things aren't going too well. Now probably g5 to kick my knight away, but I'll go knight e6, and with a black king so exposed, good things should happen to me. Queen e8, why not? What do I do? Many tempting moves, but nothing obvious. I'll go here just to reinforce potential knight e6s. But I should at some point come up with some kind of plan. Not yet though, let's make half useful moves and hope something good happens. With a6 I'll go a4 to stop b5. Not 100% clear to me how black can untangle himself here. I could have done something more aggressive, knight b5 or whatever, but feels like just getting the pieces out. Queen c2, rook a1 should lead to a very nice position. Rook g8, what's going on here? He's hinting at g5, but I'm not that scared of being checkmated. You don't have a lot of attacking pieces in that neighborhood. Therefore, yeah, what can I say? Positions with pawns on f5, I have very little sympathy for. And the pawn on f5 is a serious weakness now, which I will mercilessly target. Very hard to defend that dude, because, as I said, I'm gonna target it mercilessly, and I shall eat it. Sorry for my shirt being a little tight. Ever since I've put on these hundreds of kilos of muscle weight, because I'm trying to get in summer shape, all my slim fit shirts have become a little tight. And I can't buy a new wardrobe every time I become hulkish, because I know I'm not going to keep it up. So yeah, we got a problem there. I don't know how to solve it. Can go back to the goofy t-shirts I've been wearing the last shows. But is that the long-term solution? I do not know. I do know that CPI 38 is in real big trouble, and even calling 911 will probably not help him out. Many good moves here. f4, e4, f4, e4. I'll go with e4. Sneakily attacking his queen on h6. He's gonna try to make something happen on the king side, but once again, there's not enough people in the area to scare me unduly. A lot of options again, but I'll keep it close. He's gonna go g3, I'll play h3. I might have mishandled this a bit. Forgot, by the way, as chess players lingo for missed. No grandmaster ever misses anything. They always forget stuff. I forgot that his knight can go to c6 and then to d4, which I don't like that much. I've misplayed this a bit. I'm still better, but not as much better. Is that English? Yeah, Englishish. As much better as I deserve. And CPI 38 has done a good job sticking around. Having said all that, I'll still crush him. Knight a5. Where you headed, my little friend? Not to c4, was it? It's time to go after the g3 pawn. He can keep it by putting his other knight to h5, but as we all learned, knights on the rim are dim, and therefore the punishment will be imminent. Once again, making up words. I'll pre-move this just in case he takes, which is unlikely. What is very likely is that I'll win on time within the next 2 moves. Nah, not next 2 moves. But the clock is ticking. Threaten checkmate. Hurry up. Queen g7 still gives you a fighting chance. But I've seen it coming. And that is the end. Time ran out. Yeah, as I mentioned, not a huge, it's a tough word for me, huge fan of the opening. Knight h3 is sort of a goofy sideline, which I've played in the past, but leads to a playable position. Quentin Fontaine is asking, what did I think about Daredevil Season 2? Which I watched. I didn't pay much attention. That's the one with Elektra and some weird undead ninjas or something, right? I enjoy the production and the vibe of the show and all that stuff. I thought, yeah, the plot was a little silly, so I didn't really pay all that much attention, but I had it on as background noise. And yeah, it's alright. But Season 1 was better, as is often the case, I would guess. I'll play Quatschkopf. Probably a fellow German, which is a very non-offensive word for, I don't know. I gotta move the clock so you can enjoy his full username. Let's do it. I don't even know how you would translate Quatschkopf. Kop is head and Quatsch is sort of banter or talk nonsense. It's a guy who talks a lot and plays a lot of hedgehogs, which both aren't very good qualities, let's face it. Talk a lot of nonsense, don't like those people one bit. Hedgehog players, also don't have a lot of sympathy for them. The good thing as a hedgehog player is you can pre-move your first 8,000 moves though. But I have my standard anti-hedgehog recipe. Works better if he doesn't start with queen c7, I'll admit, but I'll still do it. Point is if he goes knight b7, then this a4, a5 push is kind of good. That's why the experts go queen c7 first and keep the option open of putting a knight on c6. Looks like Quatschkopf spent a lot of time on his hedgehog expertise. Get another hobby, Quatschkopf. You really don't have a lot of space. But no, the hedgehog is not a bad opening and it's easy to learn. So there is a lot to be said for it. I'm doing my standard a4, a5 push. The idea is if black takes, you go knight b3, you take here. Then you set up shop on the queen side, one way or another. Big question is always, can you play b4 or is d5 a problem? Or do you just do it and then worry about it, which is my approach. Probably not the most sensible. That's a blitz game. Now I should be better. Like, not winning better, but black has made some positional concessions, and d5, I have a feeling it might not work so well anymore. Even though I haven't calculated bishop b4, which maybe I should have. If you take, now you get sort of a typically bad strategic situation where I have this passed pawn, this guy's hanging, so he's got to try to mix it by going d4. But I could not spot any trickery. And I have to admit I haven't looked that hard for trickery though, so it might still be there. Knight f8 could be a move intending to go knight e6, which I would have parried somehow. Knight e5, also legal. Is there any threat? I could just take on a6, which would be my natural greedy inclination. I don't know, I might be overdoing the greed here. I'm not so sure about bishop takes a6. Bishop f3 might be possible. It's getting messy. I should be better, I would guess. But it's a weird position. And I'm getting this little message that he disconnected. Come back, Quatschkopf. This is an interesting position. I'm trying to calculate bishop takes f3 while we're waiting to see if he manages to reconnect or not. Looks like he's back and he's played bishop f3. Yeah, I haven't done much calculating in the meantime. I'll play something. Or is this suicide? Knight fg4. Might have overdone it a bit here. I have to be careful. Or just keep blitzing out moves. Hope for the best. That is, as always, the two choices. But yeah, this position is very messy. I'm not sure at all if what I'm doing here is any good. It feels like he has some chances. I don't know, rook takes d4 followed by knight fg4 or some insanity like this. I can't see any tricks for him, but my spider sense is telling me something's wrong. He goes knight fg4 directly, tending gf rook d4. Good move, probably. Katop bringing the heat. I'll bring the greed. So we'll see which one prevails. Knight takes e5, gf3 looks logical, then bishop g5, and once again, all kinds of madness could happen. I'll go for extra confusion, play bishop b5, probably worse move, but I had the feeling he really wanted to play this bishop g5, and it makes a lot less sense if I haven't taken on f3 yet, because there's no, what do we call those things? No knight fork. Knight g4 is still hanging around. But now all this extra material I have should be worth something. Queen f4, relentless. But is there a checkmate? Apart from the fact that, of course, I'm planning to flag, I also could not see a mate. Even though I might have messed it up here, rook d2. I guess it's winning, but it's not easy. Knight e2. Who knows? Interesting game against Katop, who lost on time. And yeah, typical hedgehog stuff. Here, I'm close to strategically winning, so he had to go for this d4, bishop d4, knight e5. And I have a feeling bishop a6 was overdoing it a tad. I'm not sure. Here one would have to think long and hard about a good move. Maybe queen f4. Oh no, queen f4. Probably not because of knight f3. So I don't know. Maybe there is some compensation. Not buying it, but I have a feeling I allowed him a bit too much play. Interesting game, for shizzle. Whom else do I play? How about Chester? I never played Chester. I thought I played all the chess names by now. But there's new ones coming up. From Belgium. What about c4? Why not c4 once in a while? Goes g6 and I'll do the same thing. c6. Slightly strange move order, because c6 is implying he wants to go d5, which I will now try to prevent with all of my might, which is not that much, but looks like we're gonna end up in some King's Indian structure. If I so choose, d4 would be the move I would normally play. But I feel like doing something a little different this time around. So I went for this d3 stuff. I'm not a big expert on these English setups, but it looks sensible here since I can get in a quick f4. See what happens. Maybe queen b6 is a move. b5. Maybe that's a move too. I can't take twice because of queen b6 check. That much I can see. So I'll go for plan B, go f5, grab a bit of space, and see what comes out of it. You should go bishop d7 when I was thinking about what to do, but didn't really reach a conclusion, so I'll do nothing. Or h3 does a little something, it prepares g4, some sort of pawn storm. If he goes b4, my knight is going to have to go to a slightly awkward square. But you can't have everything. Knight a6 is a fine move, but it doesn't interfere with my cruel intentions. Yeah, this is, I guess, a typical build-up. If I have more time, I want to go knight g3, bishop e3, and then at some point maybe g5, f6. Don't really know what I'm doing, but it looks decent at the very least. Since black can't really bust open the center without me grabbing material, seems playable-ish, which is not a word. Could have gone back to b1 as well, but it feels a little too humble. And humility is not my strongest suit, so I thought I'd go to the rim instead. Not that that's particularly prideful. d5, like we learned from the old textbooks. You gotta counter a flank attack with counterplay in the center. Interesting play here by Chester. And I could go for greed mode with ed or g5 first. But I have a feeling I want to keep the status quo in the center as well as I can and then try to use my grip on the king side. So I'll go knight g3. Do nothing. And where about nothing? Feel it's time to expand a little here. He's refused to move his rook, creating a square for the bishop on f8. So I'm gonna incarcerate it in the corner where it shouldn't be too happy a camper. Now, do I take on d5 or do I not? Yeah, let's take it. Not sure if this is a good idea between you and me. Actually, it's probably a bad idea. But still, he is playing with his bishop on h8, which is not the best piece in the world. Therefore, my position should still be pretty good, even though this knight on a4 is also not a big contributor to the good cause right now. What am I missing in the chat? Does Chess24 take student internships? Yeah, send your stuff to, well, what is it? info@chess24. And in general, I think it's possible. Right now we have a, what do we have? We have this guy, Rowan Vogel here, who's doing, yeah, school internship. And some video series. The under 16 world champion. But you don't have to be world champion to apply. Send stuff and we'll check it out. What do I do here? Should probably try not to lose on time mainly. I thought I would sneakily give him that pawn to then stop an irresistible mating attack on the h-file. Not quite sure if that's gonna work out, but that's the plan. What's going on here? Some weird windows going opening. Optimize the performance of your tablets and other PCs? Nah, won't do it. I gotta optimize my flagging here. Busy. Once again, little Zwischenzug. So a piece up and sort of winning, but I've once again played a bit slowly. I'm looking for a way to sacrifice my queen and be fancy. But is this really the time and place to be fancy? Queen h5 is probably winning. But I couldn't calculate it, so I'll do something else. Knight d3, panic. It's check. It's another check. More checks incoming. A lot of drama here against Chester in the time trouble phase. But it was an uphill battle for him ever since he had his bishop stuck on h8. So I prevailed in the end. Another chat break, which means Gustafsson looking weirdly into the middle of nowhere. Some dude is playing a normal tournament. A lot of action in the chat. Good to have all you guys around in spite of the late notice. And the eternal question, whom do we play? Maybe Max 9531. What's 9531? Is that your area code? Or is that your some dates involving your birthday? Maybe he was born in the year 95, maybe on the 31st, but it's missing the month. I don't know. d4, I'll go d5 this time around. I can move the clock back since Max's name is not that long. And let's be goofy. Let's play the, what do people call this? The Albin's counter gambit. Not the greatest of openings, but gives some practical chances. Can't really recommend it with a clear conscience. But it's one of those which I occasionally look at, like how to refute it, then I forget all about it. But I do know that e3 is not the right move. That's pretty much the only trick there is in this opening. That in this position you can go d takes e3, which is unpleasant because the bishop is pinned. And after f takes e3, you've slightly ruined your own structure. Not sure what to do here. But in general, now it should be pretty decent compensation. Max is unfazed, as he should be. I don't think white is in much trouble here or anything. But I'm probably going to get this pawn back and have a healthy pawn structure. Slightly healthier. So it's a good outcome of this highly dubious opening. Still, we've only just begun. Maybe I was claiming an edge too early, because after a3 he has some activity now with knight e4 or knight b5 or whatever. b4 is also possible, but gives me a little timeout to keep my bishop on this diagonal, which is a nice diagonal. It's long, it's leading towards f2. What's not to like? I read a lot of Play Me, so I can give my standard speech that I'm operating under the assumption that everybody who challenged me wants to play me, so you don't have to tell me. Let's scare Max by threatening checkmate. He got so scared that he's cuffing up an exchange instantly, which under normal circumstances I'd be very tempted to grab, but it looks like it doesn't run away just yet, so I'll be even more ambitious and try to checkmate him, threatening knight f3 check. If takes, queen takes, and it would be really, really hard to cover that g2 square. e4 is legal. I'll still follow through. King h1 is forced, and then I want to go queen f6. He doesn't go king h1, but now there's a problem of queen g2 checkmate, which is going to be very hard to parry, Max, if I'm not mistaken. And I tend not to be mistaken about queen g2, so that's one of the squares I studied in great detail. Problems. Who's next? So many choices, so little time. Thinking about going to the movies after I'm done here. I guess I gotta go watch that X-Men thing. But yeah, I heard it's not very good, and I haven't heard back from my weird superhero movie friends, so I'm not sure if it's gonna happen. But what's called Apocalypse has this dude from that movie, which I believe is the correct description as the villain. What's his name? Isaac something? What is it called? Christopher Isaac? No, that's not it. The guy from Ex Machina. What's his name? He's playing the bad guy, the Apocalypse guy. I don't know. I'm playing the bad guy, Sphinx 1991, who's unleashed the Chuko piano on me. Knight f6 is a move you almost never see at the top level because guys are scared of knight g5. But I sometimes do it to keep more pieces on the board. Here, h6 looks ridiculous, but it makes some sense because you want to fianchetto this bishop and stop knight to g5. So it's playable, just a way to keep a bunch of pieces on the chessboard. Not exactly winning, in fact black is slightly worse, but it's not as dumb as it looks, which is really all I want out of my chess moves. Looks like Sphinx 1991 is very familiar with the proceedings, blitzing out moves here. Looks fairly sensible what he's doing, but I guess I've got a decent King's Indian. The knight on d8 looks a little funny now, but I can go to f7 later on. So how bad can it be? Question is, can I go f5 or takes, pawn takes, knight takes e5? Could be a problem. Not sure how big a problem, but I don't want to find out, so I'll go knight f4. Sphinx once again keeps blitzing. So aggressive. I'll take, which looks strange. It looks like this is his bad bishop, but a bishop is still a bishop. And I have a feeling it might be missing in defense, and this should be a very decent position for black. Not sure, you could have, instead of knight takes d3, certainly played a move like g5 or even f5. But yeah, I have a bit of a weakness for bishops, and I believe this was a very reasonable decision. Now, there's many options, but I'll go caveman style. I'll just go f4, g5, g4, f3, and try to checkmate him somehow. Probably I should bring my knight into business at some point. But I promise caveman style, so I'll keep doing it. Of course, nothing wrong with h5 first either. But yeah, it's a decent King's Indian. White hasn't achieved all that much on the queen side yet. He's trying to get a bit of an attack going there now, but it's really long way from hurting. King h8, rook g8, bishop out of the way is another fairly typical regrouping. So yeah, it's unpleasant for white. Where am I looking at? Probably middle of nowhere. Looks like Sphinx is not very impressed with my attack and goes about his own business here. But I'm also not that impressed with his business, so I could cash in with bishop h3. But I feel like quietly continue to build. c6, yeah, sometimes a good idea, but here it just feels like it slows white down. And I'm not sure if closing the queen side is the right idea, because there's gonna be business on the king side. 91. I guess just continue to build up would bring home the bacon. I don't know. Like, I'm sure there's forced solutions, but I just feel like putting all my pieces in the, what's the word, vicinity? Is that a word? Or am I mixing it up with Vinsanity, this Vince Carter stuff? Vicinity, maybe. Close to the king is what I'm trying to say. And see what happens. I don't think I've handled this as viciously as I could have, but I still think that Sphinxy is in big trouble. Even though I'm really playing weird moves, I gotta do something. One aggressive move at some point. Playing like I don't want to get my hands dirty, really don't want to sacrifice a pawn or anything. King's Indian player would have checkmated him already. Well, I'm messing around and now I even have to think about g3 and stuff like that. Sure, it'll be bad for white, but I gotta think about it. And we all know how much I hate to think. King h1 is more up my alley. Now I don't have to think, but can keep bringing my pieces closer to his king. Queen is coming to h5 and the end is near. Here, any self-respecting chess player would sacrifice something, but I guess you can guess my move all the way back home. There was a bit of a threat of bishop g3 and queen h5 and checkmate, so desperate measures are in order, like the g4 he's played. But is that gonna save him? I don't think so. King g1 is the move you want to play, but then knight h3 check, and it's back to square one, to square h1. So yeah, what can I say? It's trouble. Come on, Liveslayer. I'm aware of proximity. I'm trying to use fancier words to expand my vocabulary. I'm trying to push it towards the 1,000 word mark. That's my next goal. I know 992 English words at this moment, if we don't count numbers, because I can count to 1,000. But non-numbers I know 992 words. So I'm trying to add vicinity and proximity and neighborhood to get there. f4, I should also try to win this game somehow. This bishop is a little strange. I'd really like to move it in order to checkmate. But it doesn't have a lot of squares, so I guess with a heavy heart I finally have to sacrifice something to give my bishop a square. course, it's a bit of a Greek gift if he takes them. Bishop anywhere and queen h2 is checkmate, so you gotta try something else, like queen f3. But that should only prolong the inevitable end. Prolong the end? It's also not the best English ever. Decelerate the end. I think that's the term. Anyway, Sphinx, you're in trouble. Gotta be a real Sphinx to get out of this one. And yeah, not gonna be able to do it. Sphinx resigns because, yeah, bishop anywhere. It's checkmate. Yeah, that was a nice King's Indian-ish game. But as I mentioned, yeah, without this light square bishop, White is having a harder time to defend. And yeah, his attack on the queen side was a little slow. So I could take all the time in the world to build up over there. And that is what happened. Let's play FierceGrace, chess 24 veteran, whom I actually played in a tournament game in Thailand, where, yeah, I got absolutely nothing and was sort of an equal position. Then I managed to grind it out, but when preparing for him I realized he has all these nasty King's Indian lines in his repertoire, and I want to avoid all of them. So in our tournament game I went for this move, which is not particularly impressive, and I'm not surprised FierceGrace is sticking to what he did there, but I'm playing to get in my lethal novelty. Not really lethal. In the game I played bishop e2, which is ridiculous, and black was fine after knight e4, so bishop b2 should ask a few more questions. He still goes knight e4, as he did in our tournament game, but now it should be a little less clear-cut how black can play. Because with the bishop on e2 instead of b2, black has knight c6 here, followed by e5. All kinds of nasty stuff. Well, now things shouldn't be so easy. a5, b5 would be principled. I could also take, but now I'll go b5. Grab some space. See what he's planning to do about the e4 pawn. Probably f5 has to be done. c5 looks a little over-aggressive. It's pawn. You know how I feel about free pawns. Very few things in the world make me happier than free pawns. Ice cream, maybe. No, I don't even like ice cream that much. It's mainly pawns, really. Yeah, this hasn't gone well. I don't see a whole lot of compensation for the material. FierceGrace is trying to mix it by going queen h4, which is an interesting try. But I'll keep grabbing stuff. That's what I do. You give me material, I will take it and then think. Bishop takes. Now the knight is hanging. So it must be protected. I'm a bit of a simpleton when it comes to chess, I have to admit. He wants to go check. Not the end of the world. But I don't like being checked, so I'll go extra passive. Go knight d2. Bishop e6 makes sense, directed against bishop c4. I'll once again pretend I want to go bishop c4, and black shall prevent that by going bishop b4. Even though I could probably still have done it, but no, I couldn't have. After castles, it's back on the menu. Also knight f3, so probably he has to take on d2. But then after queen takes d2, I really can't see a whole lot of compensation for whatever it is. Exchange and pawn, if I count it correctly. So yeah, this time I won the opening battle. I did it as I tend to do. I win it in the random blitz game, lose it in the high stakes tournament game. Such is life. I'll promote this one. Knight d7. Yeah, still gotta handle with a bit of care. But I have too much extra stuff to be in any real trouble here. Bishop e2, just getting out of the way. And eventually I'll put one rook or the other on d1 and do something on the d file. That's my rough plan. Knight f6, I can bother him a little with queen d6. So not so easy. at least for me, to come up with anything promising. f4 is once again legal, but I like this square, so I'll put my queen here. Now I'll take here, since I've eliminated the option of his knight jumping to e5, should he take back with the e-pawn. And yeah, after ef, just bishop f3, followed by rook e1. And it should be all over. Knight f6, fishing, but I'm not quite sure for what. I'll just keep taking stuff. I'm really not all that sophisticated. Take stuff, move pieces away when they're under attack. That's my approach. Now I'm intending to go g3 in order to take more stuff. And FierceGrace resigns because I took too many of his pawns. So yeah, this went bad early in the opening. Sorry, FierceGrace. What time is it? Oh, we got time for like 3 more games, maybe? Maybe not. Let's play Mr. Norm. Mr. NormalName. I'm not sure if NormalName is such a normal name. Like, Norm is a normal name, but Mr. NormalName strikes me as a very unusual username. It's very confusing. He is from the United States of America. Oh, and the clock keeps getting in the way of all these normal names. Let's put here. Why can't everybody be called Jan? We should only allow like 3-letter names. How many are there? Any math people out there? Must be like 10 at least. Big theoretician here. dc5, e6 or knight c6 are the main moves. I can't remember details, but I have a feeling after c4 I should go d4 and be in good shape. Or maybe that's not a feeling, that's my hope. Yeah, I don't think c4 is the way to go. Probably c3 or knight f3. There were some high-stakes games in this line, some Giri Karana Giri. One of those. Still, not sure what to do here. I'll just recapture my pawn and then try to get some pieces out. Actually, yeah, I might have bragged a little too early. The position is not that simple. I might have to take a little time out to get my king into safety so that I don't run into any knight d5, knight c7 issues. The king should be alright on g8. Because yeah, even if I were to lose the h7 pawn, which I hope is not going to happen, not the end of the world. Rook e1. Mr. NormalName is playing very quickly. Not sure if this bishop f5, bishop g4, f5 stuff I'm doing makes any sense. More likely than not, it doesn't. I think I'm alright, but after h3, maybe I have to take on f3 now, which I'm not sure I want to. Still, even here, my king is reasonably well protected by the g7 dude. And yeah, it's gonna be okay on h8. Well, my pawns on e6 and f5 control a lot of vital squares in the center, so my position should be fine. But I'm not claiming to have handled this brilliantly. I will probably claim to have handled it brilliantly, should I win, but should I not? It's gonna be a lot of whining. g4. Extreme measures. That makes me jump into action. Not sure if knight e5 or knight d4, but knight e5 looks right. Keeping an eye on this guy. Queen e2. So many options. Not so easy though. The thing is that I don't really want to give him the e4 square for any of his pieces. And it's not so easy to stop that. I don't know, I'll spice it up a little bit. I have a feeling this is a bad move. To be completely honest with you, I'm not buying it, because if he just takes on f5 twice, I was planning to go rook g8, but then, no, this is bad. Start with rook g8, but it's still bad. All of a sudden, my h7 pawn has become weak, because I allowed this chain to be broken. And I'm no longer sure I have enough compensation. King f1, now I should be fine again, because I can do this, and then queen takes f5. But I was drifting for a bit there. And I was low on time with the very slow mouse. So high time to speed it up. G3, he wants to exchange queens. I don't really want to do that. So I'll go to passive square in the middle of nowhere, just to avoid the queen exchange. He might insist though. He does insist. Have we been here already? Feels like we've had this position. Alright, let's exchange queens. Grab some pawns. Mr. NormalName is playing very well, and I might have mentioned my mouse problems 1 or 18 times, so I'm very concerned here. I'm gonna have to shut up and play as quickly as I can, which is not very fast. Or very well, but here I can grab the knight, which is always useful to have, because a knight is a knight, and therefore he resigns. But yeah, he played a good game, and I got seriously worried, because I'm feeling so slow and vulnerable today. Good game by Mr. NormalName. Still, it's not that normal a name. I'll stay in the United States of America and play Chicago Dave. I used to think it was from the Netherlands, but the flag and the name Chicago Dave have convinced me that he's actually from the US&A. If he's there. If he's not there, I can't play him. I'm gonna have to play somebody else. So let's start a little countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Abort. Sorry, Chicago Dave. Not gonna be able to do it. Whom else? Let's find a new guy. Maybe there are no new guys. Looks like I finally crushed everybody. Oh, haven't played Zuko 21 yet. From Argentina. Never been to Argentina. I'd love to go. I heard it's a beautiful place, but I never made it there. Looks like Zuko 21 is not around either. People are teasing me here. Another countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Sorry, Zuko. Right. Is anybody still awake? Gotta stay caffeinated. Follow my lead. Get one of these excellent Chess 24 mugs, which you get for some stuff. I don't know what you get it for. Probably, I guess, these multi-year premium memberships or whatever. I don't know. But get one of those and drink a lot of coffee. I'm doing, once again, a fine advertising job by hiding the mug behind my username. But I found a new victim. I shouldn't have said it. A new opponent. Enemy. A new partner to play this chess game. Comelo todo, which in Spanish means eat it all. That's my approach. Let's see who gets more eating done. I played extra safe. What about the good old Semislav? I haven't done it for a while, but it looks like the Semislav is making a comeback. It's doing quite well at the highest level, and even the mighty Anish Giri, who knows everything about everything, said during Norway chess that he was sort of out of ideas against the Semislav. So if Anish thinks it's fine, who am I to not play it? But seriously, no, that was serious. Queen c2 is one of the main moves here. Bishop d3 is what everybody used to do when black can sort of equalize by castling, followed by e5, which I'm not going to do. Bishop d2 is normally an overture to a lot more aggressive plans, like long castles, h3, g4. Shouldn't be all that scary, but it's certainly a playable thing. I really lack vocabulary. Long way to go till I reach these 1000 words. Rook d1, not sure what that's about. Not sure what he wants to do next, so I'll play a half waiting move, like rook e8, and see what's gonna happen. If the bishop moves, I guess I'll take on c4. That looks like Kotto wants to play the waiting game. Let's do that. Probably I could have gone e5 already after h3. And yeah, he's baiting me. I shall no longer be baited. You want me to open the center, Kotto? I will grant your wish. In general, yeah, this is a bit of a typical scenario, not in that position, that both sides wait with taking on c4 or with moving this bishop in order to save half a tempo. But of course, at some point you gotta develop, and I decided to end the game, end the waiting gamery, open the center, which hopefully I will not regret. d4 looks like the most sort of easy way to play. I'm, however, wondering if I have enough crushing potential after just takes followed by castles. Position should be close to equal. Still, it feels right to do it. And I'll take with the queen. Bishop takes looked a bit more natural, but I want to transfer my queen to h4 after he castles, which he will do. And I thought that was worth taking with the queen here. Doesn't castle. I'll still go here. And should he decide to castle, I will give very strong consideration to bishop takes h3, which means I'm going to blitz it out and hope it works. So probably he can't castle, but that means you gotta do something else. It's not that easy. g3, I'm also gonna give very strong consideration to bishop takes g3. So Kotto got himself into a bit of a mess here, maybe by overdoing the waiting game earlier. Not sure how bad it is. Maybe it's not bad at all. I'm just overstating things, but I can't see a good solution. Queen a4 would be nice, but it runs into bishop takes c3 check, followed by taking here. So he goes knight d5, which is sensible, but should also have problems. How can I exploit that one? Maybe I can't. I can just develop bishop e6 and it'd be slightly better, but I can't see tricks. Bishop b2 or stuff like that might work. Queen b2, knight d5, rook d5, rook e3. But it feels a little too complicated. Nah, it's too complicated for me. I'll just get some pieces out. Once again, nice attacking position. It's gonna come down to me grabbing a pawn, trying to hang on to it. I don't know which show we're in, but I feel I've done a couple of Banter Blitzes. I keep apologizing for this pawn grabbing addiction. Pretty much every show. At some point I'm just gonna have to own it. I like pawns, and I'm not ashamed. Still feels a little dirty to just take Boris the b pawn. He had such big plans. Want to go to b4, maybe b5, maybe see the world, take on a6, b7. And now he's relegated to being accompanied in the grave by the other Boris b7. But Anton 6 has survived, well, Anton 3 has not, which should tilt the odds in my favor. Because this pawn is forced to be reckoned with. Bishop f3 is a good move because I don't really want to remove my rook from sheltering the a-pawn. But sometimes in life you gotta compromise. So I've been told. I've never done it personally. But that's what the smart money is saying. Can't have it all. Not sure. Ah, that's what he was thinking about. I was expecting something else. Queen a4. I'll do the usual time travel thing. Keep my pieces protected so I can't blunder any. Whatever. Queen a4 attacking e8 and a3. Sorts of things. And yeah. The extra pawn should probably get the job done for me in the long run. But in the short run, still gotta be careful not to get checkmated and all that stuff. So I didn't dare to go rook c7 followed by rook c8 because of queen takes. Now he goes queen a4. Melor is playing very sensibly. But he hasn't really lived up to his name. He's given me a pawn and he hasn't eaten a lot. Still, I gotta be a little careful now. Not my forte. Might have to make an ugly move here. It's a very ugly move. Yeah, not impressed with my own technique. Then again, we all know you shouldn't get high on your own supply, so maybe it's better this way. Let me attack some stuff. That tends to do miracles to get one out of these depressions. Attacking this guy, attacking this guy. So he's got to go all the way back. And I'm not gonna lie, I have my eyes set on another solid flagging job. I feel slightly better about these flagging jobs if my position is also good. Nah, that's a lie. I feel better about them if my position is terrible. But here I can take the high road and say, yeah, but I would have won anyway. Hadn't he lost on time? Blah, blah, blah. The problem with these clock situations is it's very hard to motivate to find decent moves. Well, all I'm doing is like really staring at the clock. Time is running out. See, while he's fighting hard, making decent moves, I'm really just waiting for these numbers to reach 0, which they now have. Therefore, I won the game. Yay me. Okay, I play one last one because I haven't announced last game, which I should have done. So this is the very last game of the day. Let's see if I can find another Banter Blitz virgin. Rainbow Chess seems new to the Banter Blitz action. So we will give him a proper crushing to welcome him and simultaneously end the show. And it's time for another e4. Let's see if we can have a new chapter of Jan Sicilian adventures. I haven't kept up with the chat. Litvinenko is having girl troubles. But you know I can only react to premium members, Litvinenko. So sorry, but I wish you best of luck, of course. Climbing up the Chess 24 rankings, someone's trying to jinx me. Hamburglar. Yeah. Conte Yellow's asking, what's dinner time in Hamburg? I don't think my dinner time and normal people's dinner times go like most restaurants close at like 11ish, so you gotta get there before. So I have some delivery services that are open till 2 or 3. Sometimes I cook and stuff, but no, I think normal people eat like around 7. And yeah, I eat a little later normally. Rainbow Chess not here, so I'm gonna abort this one and find another rainbow. By the way, strange phenomenon. I was taught recently, and it's true, I believe, that even though rainbow is spelled with a B, most of us very fluent English speakers say rainbow with an M, because it's easier to say. That's true. So confusing. Rainbow. I'll play Melkor instead. If Melkor is around, of course, because else I can't play him either. That's how it goes. Melor is here. Goes d4. Followed by c4. I'll be goofy, play knight c6. Probably I shouldn't do that. But once in a while you gotta bust out the good old two knights tango. Not a very good opening, giving up too much space. But a decent blitz line, and it feels kind of fun to put this knight from whatever these squares are called. c6 to g6 early in the game. Bishop g5. I'm not sure if that's a good or a bad idea. Probably it's decent, but I have the two bishops which I like. And I can also develop this bishop. Knight e4, he's really going for it. Do I give a check? Bishop b4 check is the most obvious move, of course, when he has to go knight fd2, and I was looking for something smart in reply. Didn't really get very far with my looking for a smart move search. I was thinking about stuff like queen f4, a3. Then something, bishop takes d2. But I'm not sure how great it is, and I've also been slow. So I'll go in full retreat mode. Why not retreat everything and hope things turn out well? Bishop e7 I'm also very unsure about. Probably it's the better decision to just take on d2 and then play King's Indian style d6, f5. But I just like bishops too much. This might look like a weird move, and it is, but as I said, I like bishops, and I want this bishop to have a role in the events to come, Golem style, on c5, and now my pieces look well positioned for crushing mating attack. Knight f4, queen g5, bishop g4, something's gonna happen. Nah, it's not that bad, but I have the two bishops and a very comfortable position. You should play g3 just to get control over some dark squares. And I like my position. Rook e1. What does he want? He wants to go bishop f1. Well, I could do many bad things to him. Queen f6, queen h4. I can't calculate, which is a pity. But yeah, let's have a little fun. Let's see what happens. It's not my normal style. I'm playing after g3 to take on f2, and I couldn't really calculate it at all. That's probably not very good, is it? Not sure, but he's taking my word for it. It's also a pity, because now I don't know what to do. And I've been very slow, so yeah, it's time to speed up and just make random moves. Sorry, this game lost all its didactic value. But as I've mentioned, I'm very slow and vulnerable today. So, gotta speed it up. How often have I said speed it up today? Too many times. Melkor's thinking he should probably go g3 no matter what. I won't make a big deal out of it. I could go knight a3 check or just go back to g5. Haven't decided. Probably I'd give a check. Yeah, black is very comfortable here with the two bishops, with the potential attack on the king side, but I haven't really done a whole lot to punish him for all his sins just yet. As I said, I panicked about the clock, and at the very least, Melor is taking his time now. Knight e2, can I do something? Knight d3 looks sort of cute, at least. Not sure if it's good, but it looks cute. It's probably not very good, actually. But once again, so cute. Queen g3 doesn't really work. Melor is panicking. He had to either go g3 or take, because now I'll grab all his material, which normally makes things a lot easier. The more rooks you have, the better. More time-honored wisdom. Let's get this over with, so I can start dealing with all the difficult decisions I'm facing. What to eat for dinner, watch X-Men or not. That's about it. Melor seems very motivated to keep this game going. He's really entering. I don't want to make a Star Trek reference. Warp speed? I don't know. Would have been mate next move, in my defense, for those saying, oh, Jan flagged another guy. Was checkmate next move. Rook f1. Anyway, that's it for today. Thank you guys for watching. No apologies today. I gotta come up with like my regular apologies corner at the end of the show. But for now, I got nothing smart. Go premium, tell all your friends like how funny I am, how awake I look, even at the end of these videos. Do all that good stuff and stay classy. Good night. Trying